Ladies and gentlemen, in the quiet moments of life, when we reflect upon our journey, we may come to recognize that we are all kissed by destiny. What does this mean? It suggests that our lives, like every part of nature, are woven together by forces beyond our immediate understanding. In the Stoic philosophy, we call this divine reason, or logos, the rational principle that governs the universe. Everything we experience is part of a greater plan, whether it appears joyous or tragic, whether it is something we desire or something we resist. In Stoic philosophy, the concept of fate is deeply intertwined with the idea of the logos, the rational principle that governs the universe. To the Stoics, fate is not something that happens randomly or chaotically. Rather, it is a natural, inevitable force that unfolds according to a divine order. The Stoics believed that everything that happens, whether it appears to be good or bad, is part of a greater and rational plan. This does not mean that events are predetermined in the simplistic sense that we might imagine, but rather that they unfold according to a greater purpose, often beyond our immediate understanding. In other words, fate is not an arbitrary force, but rather a manifestation of the universe's rationality. From a Stoic perspective, everything in the cosmos operates within a vast interconnected system. The Stoics viewed the world as an ordered whole, where every individual event, every action, and every occurrence has a place within this larger system. Nothing is truly random. Rather, all events are tied together in a web of cause and effect, influenced by natural laws. To the Stoic mind, this means that our lives, too, are shaped by forces outside our control. We are born into certain circumstances, meet specific people, and face particular challenges, all of which arise from the unfolding of fate. However, unlike some philosophical traditions that may view fate as something negative, Stoicism teaches us to view fate with acceptance and even gratitude. While we do not have control over the events that happen to us, we do have control over how we respond to them. Fate, in the Stoic sense, is neither something to be feared nor resisted, but something to be understood and embraced. The Stoics argue that by aligning our will with the natural flow of the world, we can find tranquility and peace. If we fight against fate, we create unnecessary suffering, as our desires and emotions will be at odds with what is. If we accept fate, we find contentment and can act virtuously, understanding that each moment offers an opportunity to grow and live in accordance with nature. One of the critical teachings of the Stoics is that fate is beyond human control. We cannot choose the circumstances of our birth, the people we meet, or the challenges we face. These are all determined by forces beyond our power. This realization can be disconcerting, as it challenges our desire for control. However, the Stoic response to this is liberating. Since we cannot control fate, we are freed from the need to manipulate or resist it. Instead, we can focus on what is within our control, our reactions, our thoughts, and our actions. In a world that is often chaotic and unpredictable, the Stoic teaches us to focus on cultivating internal virtues like wisdom, courage, and self-discipline. These are the tools that allow us to navigate the external world, however it may unfold. Understanding that we are part of a larger, rational system also calls for a sense of humility. It is a reminder that our individual desires and concerns, while important to us, are part of a much larger and more complex order. We are but one thread in the vast tapestry of the cosmos, and our limited perspective means that we may never fully understand the grand design of life. Yet, it is precisely in accepting our place within this larger whole that we come to peace. The Stoics did not see fate as something to be feared or something that robbed us of agency. On the contrary, they saw it as an opportunity to cultivate virtue, and to align ourselves with the natural order. In this way, the Stoics invite us to look at fate not as an adversary, but as a force that calls us to wisdom and virtue. It is the embrace of this understanding that can help us find purpose and meaning, no matter what life presents. The Stoic view of fate is not a passive acceptance of whatever comes, but rather an active participation in life, where we focus on cultivating the qualities that enable us to meet life's challenges with grace and fortitude. This alignment with fate allows us to face life with calmness and wisdom, regardless of the external circumstances. In this way, the Stoic perspective on fate is not one of resignation, but of empowerment, as it frees us from the turmoil of trying to control the uncontrollable and encourages us to focus on what truly lies within our grasp, our inner life. A central tenet of Stoic philosophy is the distinction between what is within our control and what is not. The Stoics assert that the only things truly under our power are our thoughts, emotions, and actions. Everything outside of ourselves, such as the actions of others, the course of nature, and the unfolding of fate, lies beyond our control. This insight is vital, as it invites us to shift our focus and energy from futile attempts to manipulate external events to cultivating a mind that is disciplined, rational, and virtuous in the face of whatever happens. The Stoics taught that the source of much human suffering lies in our attempts to control what is not ours to control. We often find ourselves distressed by circumstances beyond our influence, whether it's the weather, the behavior of others, or the events of the world around us. The Stoic approach challenges us to reconsider how we respond to these situations. Instead of resisting or fighting against what we cannot change, Stoicism encourages us to accept it with equanimity. The Stoics believed that by focusing only on what we can control, our own responses, thoughts, and actions, we can attain inner peace and tranquility regardless of external circumstances. One of the most profound aspects of this teaching is the power it gives us over our own state of mind. While we cannot control the events that happen to us, we always have control over how we interpret and respond to them. This is where the Stoic practice of reframing comes into play. When faced with an obstacle, the Stoic asks themselves, "What is within my control here? How can I respond in a way that is aligned with my values, my sense of virtue, and my reason?" This is not about denying or suppressing emotions, but about choosing a measured, rational response to them. For instance, when faced with adversity, rather than being swept away by anger or frustration, the Stoic strives to meet it with patience, wisdom, and courage, understanding that their response is the only thing truly under their command. Moreover, the Stoics argue that a significant part of our suffering arises from the misguided belief that we should have control over things that are fundamentally uncontrollable. We often invest our emotional energy in trying to change other people, alter the course of events, or manipulate circumstances to our liking, but these are external forces that lie beyond our reach. The Stoic discipline, therefore, involves letting go of the need for control over such things. This acceptance is not a passive resignation, but a powerful shift toward focusing our energy on what truly matters, cultivating our character, practicing virtues, and shaping our actions with integrity and wisdom. In practical terms, this teaching also guides us toward a healthier relationship with our desires and expectations. Often, our suffering is caused not by the events themselves, but by our attachment to how we think things should be. We desire things to unfold according to our preferences, but reality doesn't always align with our wishes. When things don't go as planned, we may experience frustration, disappointment, or resentment. The Stoics invite us to reframe these moments and acknowledge that our expectations are what create much of our distress. Instead of resisting the way things are, we can choose to accept them, recognizing that everything is part of the natural flow of the world, even if it diverges from our personal desires. This acceptance does not mean that we are passive or apathetic. On the contrary, it frees us to engage with the world as it is, without clinging to unrealistic expectations or the need for things to unfold according to our preferences. Additionally, the Stoic emphasis on control calls us to act with greater intentionality. The Stoics encourage us to direct our energy toward those aspects of life where we can make a meaningful impact: our actions, our decisions, and the way we treat others. They remind us that by focusing on cultivating virtues like wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance, we are better equipped to navigate the uncertainties of life. These virtues are within our power to develop, and they become the foundation upon which we can stand firm in the face of whatever the world presents to us. By aligning our actions with these virtues, we find a sense of purpose and meaning, even in the most difficult of circumstances. Thus, the Stoic practice of focusing on what is within our control becomes an antidote to the anxiety and frustration that arises from trying to control what lies beyond our reach. It is a call to live with intention, to make deliberate choices in response to the world around us, and to find peace by focusing on our own growth and character. In the end, Stoicism teaches us that true freedom comes not from controlling external events, but from mastering our own thoughts and actions, and in doing so, living in harmony with the natural order of the universe. In Stoic philosophy, love is not simply an emotional response or an attachment to someone or something. Rather, love is seen as a rational virtue, something that aligns with reason, wisdom, and virtue itself. Stoics believe that true love, in its most virtuous form, is grounded in the ability to act justly, wisely, and compassionately towards others. This love is not about sentimentalism or fleeting affection, but about choosing to care for others and acting in accordance with our higher moral principles. It is love that is not dependent on external circumstances, but is cultivated through rational thought and intentional action. For the Stoics, love begins with a deep recognition of the interconnectedness of all human beings. They understood that we are all part of a larger whole, a universal community. By seeing each individual as an integral part of this larger cosmic order, the Stoic view of love transcends personal desire or attachment. Instead of loving others because of what we can get from them, we love because it is virtuous to care for the well-being of others as part of our duty to society and to the greater whole of humanity. In this sense, Stoic love is not about emotional dependency, but about fostering a sense of universal compassion and justice. This rational approach to love means that it is not contingent upon the behavior or actions of others. The Stoic does not love based on whether others are deserving of love, nor do they expect to be loved in return. Instead, love is something we choose to offer, regardless of the external circumstances. When a Stoic loves, it is not out of self-interest or a desire to possess another person, but out of a sense of duty to contribute to the common good. It is the rational choice to act in a way that promotes virtue, wisdom, and understanding, both within oneself and within others. Moreover, the Stoics viewed love as a way to cultivate other virtues. Love, when practiced rationally, naturally leads to actions that reflect justice, kindness, patience, and selflessness. The Stoic who loves others acts out of compassion, seeking to do what is best for them, not because of personal gain, but because it is the right thing to do. This love is not based on fleeting passions or the expectation of reciprocation, but on a steady, deliberate intention to uphold the highest moral standards. It is love that helps to create harmonious relationships, built on respect, fairness, and a shared commitment to virtue. This approach to love also reflects the Stoic belief in the importance of emotional mastery. While love, in its highest form, is not devoid of emotion, the Stoic aims to transcend the irrational impulses that often accompany emotions like desire, jealousy, and possessiveness. True love, in the Stoic sense, is not about emotional excess or clinging to others, but about maintaining a balanced and rational perspective. It is about giving without expectation and accepting others as they are, without attempting to change or control them. This kind of love is grounded in the acceptance of the natural world and its imperfections, including the imperfections of the people we love. Stoic love is not about creating idealized relationships, but about fostering genuine connections based on mutual respect and the shared pursuit of virtue. Furthermore, love in the Stoic tradition extends beyond personal relationships. It encompasses a sense of duty and compassion toward all people, and even toward the broader world. A Stoic's love for humanity is not limited to those they know personally. It is an inclusive love that recognizes the inherent worth of all people. This universal love is a natural extension of the Stoic belief in the rational order of the universe, where all beings are interconnected and part of the same grand design. It is a love that seeks to promote justice, equity, and the well-being of all people, regardless of their status or relationship to the Stoic. By practicing this form of love, the Stoic finds a sense of peace and fulfillment that comes not from external rewards or recognition, but from acting in accordance with virtue. In this sense, love becomes a guiding principle that shapes the Stoic's actions and interactions with others. It is the foundation upon which all other virtues are built, and through which a Stoic can live in harmony with both nature and humanity. In essence, Stoic love is a love that transcends emotional attachment and is rooted in the rational pursuit of virtue, justice, and the common good. It is the highest expression of human kindness, one that is always in alignment with reason, wisdom, and the interconnectedness of all things. Resilience is a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy, deeply woven into its teachings on how to live virtuously in a world that is often unpredictable and full of challenges. The Stoics understood that life is full of hardships, misfortune, and adversity. Yet, their approach to these difficulties was not one of avoidance or denial, but rather one of acceptance and active engagement. Stoic resilience is not about being immune to suffering, but about developing the strength to endure and overcome it with wisdom, virtue, and inner peace. It is the capacity to remain steadfast, composed, and focused on what truly matters, even in the face of life's most trying moments. The essence of Stoic resilience lies in the distinction between what is within our control and what is not. The Stoics taught that we cannot control external events, the actions of others, the weather, the course of history, or the inevitable challenges life throws at us. What we can control, however, is how we respond to these events. Our thoughts, emotions, and actions are the domain of our will. In times of adversity, the Stoic response is not to fight against the difficulty itself, but to control our inner reactions to it. By acknowledging that the external world is beyond our power, we free ourselves from the burden of trying to change things that are beyond our reach. Instead, we focus on cultivating inner strength, the ability to endure, adapt, and maintain our moral integrity no matter what comes our way. The Stoics believed that resilience is not merely a passive form of endurance, but an active engagement with life's challenges. To be resilient in the Stoic sense is to face hardship with courage and wisdom, rather than shrinking from it or giving in to despair. For instance, when confronted with loss, illness, or failure, a Stoic does not allow themselves to be overwhelmed by negative emotions such as anger, grief, or frustration. Instead, they embrace the challenge as an opportunity for growth. The Stoic teaches that through every trial, we have the chance to demonstrate virtues like patience, self-discipline, and courage. This is not to say that a Stoic does not feel sorrow or pain, but rather that they do not allow these emotions to control them or dictate their actions. They accept pain as a natural part of life, one that offers the potential for greater wisdom and inner strength if met with the right mindset. Resilience also involves the cultivation of a mindset that views obstacles as opportunities rather than burdens. The Stoics believe that everything that happens to us, whether perceived as good or bad, is part of the natural order of the universe. Even when life seems unfair or harsh, a Stoic sees these experiences as opportunities to practice virtue and refine their character. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most prominent Stoic philosophers, often reflected on the idea that difficulties are not impediments, but are rather essential for our development. In this sense, Stoic resilience is the ability to transform adversity into a source of strength, learning, and personal growth. It is an understanding that we are made stronger by the very challenges that seek to bring us down. An essential aspect of Stoic resilience is emotional regulation. Stoics do not seek to suppress or deny their emotions, but they do aim to avoid being controlled by them. This means developing the ability to experience emotions without being swept away by them. When faced with a setback, a Stoic might feel frustration or sadness, but they do not allow these emotions to dominate their actions or decision-making. Instead, they cultivate emotional distance, allowing them to process their feelings rationally rather than being driven by impulsive reactions. In this way, resilience in Stoic thought is also about emotional intelligence, the ability to recognize and understand emotions without being overtaken by them. Moreover, Stoic resilience is built on the practice of self-reflection and mindfulness. Regularly examining one's thoughts, actions, and responses helps the Stoic maintain control over their inner world. By reflecting on their reactions to challenges, a Stoic can learn to adjust their thinking and approach in future situations. This constant self-awareness is crucial in developing resilience because it allows one to grow in wisdom and adapt more effectively to life's changing circumstances. The Stoics believed that we are not born resilient, but rather that we develop this quality through deliberate practice and a commitment to living virtuously. The Stoic practice of resilience also extends to relationships and interactions with others. When faced with conflict or injustice, a Stoic responds not with anger or retribution, but with patience, understanding, and a commitment to acting with fairness. By practicing resilience in their relationships, Stoics are able to maintain their sense of inner peace, regardless of how others may behave. This emotional fortitude allows them to remain focused on their own values and actions without being unduly influenced by external negativity. In sum, resilience in Stoic philosophy is not merely the ability to withstand hardship, but the ability to face it with virtue and wisdom. It is the strength to endure suffering with grace, the wisdom to see challenges as opportunities for growth, and the emotional control to remain steadfast in the face of adversity. By cultivating resilience in all areas of life, the Stoic not only survives life's trials, but becomes a better, wiser, and more virtuous individual. Through resilience, we align ourselves with the natural order of the universe, accepting the inevitability of hardship while maintaining the inner strength to meet it with courage and wisdom. The interplay between fate and love is a central theme in Stoic philosophy, where both are seen as crucial elements in navigating the complexities of life. According to the Stoics, fate refers to the natural course of events, the unfolding of life according to the divine reason or logos that governs the universe. Love, on the other hand, is a force that connects us to others, guiding our actions and interactions with compassion, virtue, and justice. In Stoic thought, these two concepts are not at odds with each other. Rather, they are intertwined in a way that complements one another, providing a framework for living a good and meaningful life. Fate, in the Stoic sense, is seen as the natural flow of events that is beyond our control. It represents the unfolding of the universe's plan, governed by reason and order, even though we may not always understand it. From the Stoic perspective, everything that happens, whether we perceive it as good or bad, is part of a larger design that is ultimately for the greater good of the whole. Our job as Stoics is to accept fate with grace, understanding that while we cannot control external events, we can control how we respond to them. This acceptance of fate leads to peace of mind and tranquility, as we stop resisting what is outside our control and instead focus on what we can influence: our own thoughts, attitudes, and actions. Love, as the Stoics conceive it, is not a blind or passive emotion, but a rational force that drives us to act in accordance with virtue. It is love that inspires us to care for others, to act justly, and to treat others with respect and dignity. This kind of love is not based on attachment or expectation, but on the understanding that all human beings are interconnected, and that our actions toward others should reflect the common good. Stoic love is not about seeking personal gain or fulfillment from relationships, but about contributing to the well-being of others and acting in ways that promote the harmony of the universe. The interplay between fate and love becomes clear when we consider how we respond to the inevitable challenges and difficulties that life presents. While we cannot control the circumstances of our lives, we can choose how we engage with them. In times of hardship or adversity, love can be a guiding force that helps us navigate through difficult moments with integrity and compassion. For example, when we face suffering, whether it is personal loss, illness, or failure, love allows us to respond with patience, kindness, and resilience. It compels us to offer support and comfort to others who are experiencing pain, and to act with empathy and understanding. Love, in this sense, does not deny the reality of hardship, but acknowledges it and responds to it with a sense of moral duty and compassion. At the same time, love, when rooted in Stoic virtue, helps us to accept fate more readily. It is through love that we come to understand the interconnectedness of all things and recognize that everything, including the hardships we face, is part of the natural order. Love helps us to see the value in all experiences, even those that are painful or difficult, because it is through these experiences that we are able to grow and develop as individuals. In this way, love becomes not just a force for compassion, but also a tool for understanding and accepting the course of life as it unfolds. Moreover, love in the Stoic sense encourages us to focus on what we can control in our relationships with others, regardless of the external circumstances. Love is not about trying to control others or expect them to behave in a certain way. Rather, it is about acting with virtue in our own lives and extending that goodness to those around us. The Stoic does not expect love to be returned in the same measure, nor do they seek to possess or dominate others. Instead, love is expressed through virtuous action, through kindness, fairness, and wisdom. By focusing on what we can offer others rather than what we hope to receive, love becomes a source of strength and resilience, both for ourselves and for those we care about. In this way, the interplay between fate and love invites us to live with a sense of purpose and clarity. We accept the unfolding of events with equanimity, understanding that our reactions to life's challenges are within our control, and we respond with love that is grounded in virtue. The acceptance of fate does not diminish love, rather it deepens it, as we realize that love is a constant force that we can direct toward others, even in the face of the unknown. Love, in the Stoic view, helps us not only to endure the trials of life, but to find meaning and purpose in them. By aligning ourselves with the rational order of the universe and acting with love, we contribute to the greater good and live in harmony with the natural flow of life. Through this balance of fate and love, we cultivate a life of wisdom, resilience, and compassion. The Stoics emphasize the importance of accepting that life is transient, and that everything, including the people we love, the achievements we cherish, and the pleasures we enjoy, is temporary. This acceptance of impermanence is a central aspect of Stoic thought, and provides us with the framework to approach life with a sense of detachment and wisdom. By understanding the fleeting nature of all things, Stoics believe that we can cultivate a deeper sense of peace, free from the anxiety that comes from clinging to things that will inevitably change or pass away. A core principle of Stoic philosophy is the idea of amor fati the love of fate. This involves not only accepting the course of events as they unfold, but also embracing them with gratitude. The Stoics believe that everything that happens, whether it appears to be good or bad, is part of a larger rational order. Life's impermanence is an essential part of this order, and rather than resisting or resenting it, we are encouraged to accept it with grace. In embracing the impermanence of life, we free ourselves from the grip of attachment, which so often leads to suffering when we try to hold on to things that are destined to change. By recognizing the temporary nature of all things, we come to appreciate the present moment more fully, understanding that every experience is precious because it will not last forever. This awareness of impermanence also allows us to shift our focus from external, fleeting achievements to internal, lasting virtues. While material possessions, social status, and even relationships may be temporary, the development of our character and virtues, such as wisdom, courage, and justice, are within our control and have enduring value. The Stoics teach that we should invest our energy in cultivating these internal qualities, which provide us with a stable foundation regardless of what happens in the external world. By focusing on what we can control, our own thoughts, actions, and attitudes, we can navigate the inevitable changes of life with equanimity and resilience. The impermanence of external circumstances becomes less a source of anxiety and more an opportunity to grow and live virtuously. Moreover, accepting the transitory nature of life helps to diminish the fear of loss. It is natural for human beings to fear the loss of loved ones, the end of an era, or the fading of youth and beauty. Yet, the Stoic perspective teaches that it is not the loss itself that causes suffering, but our attachment to the idea that things should remain the same. By recognizing that change is an inevitable part of the human experience, we can learn to cherish what we have without clinging to it. The Stoics believe that true peace comes not from holding on to what is temporary, but from embracing change with an open heart, understanding that all things come and go in their own time. The fear of loss diminishes when we accept that life, in all its forms, is always in a state of flux. The Stoic approach, then, is not to try to stop the natural flow of life, but to adapt to it with wisdom and resilience. Additionally, the concept of impermanence offers a profound insight into the nature of relationships. As we navigate our relationships with others, it is essential to remember that no bond is permanent. People grow, change, and sometimes part ways. Yet, the Stoic approach encourages us to focus on the virtues that we can offer in our relationships, rather than trying to control or hold onto the other person. In this way, love and connection are not about attachment or possession, but about mutual respect, understanding, and the shared pursuit of virtue. By accepting the impermanence of relationships, we can approach them with greater humility, kindness, and compassion, appreciating them for the time they exist, and understanding that they are part of the greater flow of life. This acceptance does not diminish the value of the relationship. Rather, it deepens our ability to love and connect without the fear of loss. In facing the impermanence of life, the Stoics also encourage us to live in accordance with nature. Nature is constantly in flux. Seasons change, life grows and decays, and all things are born and die. This constant cycle of change is not something to fear, but something to embrace. By recognizing that we are a part of this natural order, we learn to accept that we, too, are subject to the laws of nature, and that our time in this world is limited. This awareness can lead to a more meaningful and purposeful life as we focus on what truly matters, cultivating virtue, fostering relationships, and making a positive impact on the world, while accepting the transient nature of all things. Ultimately, the Stoic acceptance of impermanence helps to foster a life of greater peace and fulfillment. By releasing our attachment to the things that are beyond our control and embracing the fleeting nature of life, we free ourselves from the anxiety that comes with fear of loss and change. This acceptance does not lead to resignation, but rather to a deeper engagement with life, where we can live more fully in the present moment, appreciate what we have, and align ourselves with the natural flow of the universe. Through this acceptance, we cultivate the resilience to face life's challenges with wisdom and the ability to love and live with a sense of tranquility, regardless of what the future holds. In conclusion, the Stoic perspective offers profound insights into how we can live with greater purpose, resilience, and inner peace. By understanding and accepting the impermanence of life, we free ourselves from unnecessary attachment and the anxiety of trying to control what is beyond our reach. Fate and love, when viewed through a Stoic lens, are not forces that stand in opposition to each other, but rather are interconnected in guiding us toward a life lived with virtue, wisdom, and compassion. Stoicism teaches us that the only true control we have lies in how we respond to life's challenges, and by cultivating resilience, we can navigate even the most difficult circumstances with grace. Through love, we learn to act with kindness and justice, not out of expectation or desire, but as a natural expression of our shared humanity. Ultimately, Stoic philosophy urges us to embrace life as it comes, to cultivate virtues that endure beyond the transient nature of external events, and to remain steadfast in our commitment to living a good, meaningful life. By embodying these principles, we are kissed by destiny and held by love, grounded in a wisdom that transcends external circumstances and leads us toward tranquility and fulfillment.